recently discovered a chart by Liz Foss-Lyon. It showed the difference between relying on motivation and relying on consistency. The chart got me thinking about how important consistency is, not just in our work lives but in our personal ones too. It hit home to me the importance of consistency in everyday life. After all, Rome was not built in a day. And it certainly wasn't built on motivation alone. We all have those days when we don't feel like doing anything. Maybe we had a tough day at work. Or we are just feeling lazy, whatever the reason. It's so easy to let our motivation slip on these days. But if we are consistent, even on the days when we don't feel like it, we'll still get things done. And usually, once we've started, it's not as bad as we thought it would be. The chart displays how motivation can be a burst of energy that quickly dwindles while consistency leads to long-term growth. It's not hard to see how this applies to real life. Just think about starting a new diet or working out. In the beginning, you're motivated and excited to make a change. But eventually, that motivation begins to fade, and it becomes harder and harder to stick with your goals. It sounds silly saying this aloud. Of course, consistency will always trump motivation. However, recently I've been heavily relying on motivation to get anything done. Motivation is great for getting started, but it's important to remember that it won't last forever. Relying on motivation to get through your day can be a roller coaster ride, with many highs and lows. On the other hand, consistency is a steadier force that will help you stay on track, even when you don't feel like it. In this blog post, I want to discuss the importance of consistency and how we can achieve a more consistent, less fluctuating output. The importance of consistency in achieving goals. Ultimately, what separates successful people from unsuccessful people is their consistency in taking action. Even when they don't feel motivated, being consistent is more important than being motivated, especially for long-term goals, It is often forgotten that motivation is a fleeting feeling. It comes and goes, and it's not always easy to rely on. On the other hand, consistency is a habit that we can cultivate over time. We can depend on it, even when we are not feeling motivated. This is important because consistency will help us achieve our goals in the long run, Anyone who has ever tried to achieve a demanding goal knows that consistency is critical. Whether it's working out, eating healthy, or studying for an exam, there is no substitute for consistency when it comes to reaching your goals. The reason is simple: consistency leads to momentum. The more consistently you do something, the easier it becomes. And the more momentum you build up, eventually. What was once a struggle becomes a habit, and habits are hard to break. That's why consistency is so important. It is the key to making lasting change. So if you're looking to achieve a goal, remember to be consistent, no matter what. And eventually, you'll reach your destination. How to be more consistent in your actions. There are a few things we can do to be more consistent in our actions. Set realistic goals. Our goals must be realistic. Otherwise, we are setting ourselves up for failure. We are more likely to give up when we set unrealistic goals because we can't seem to achieve them. Find an accountability partner. Having someone to hold us accountable can be a great way to stay on track. When we know someone depends on us, we are more likely to follow through. This can be as simple as a study buddy or workout partner. Start small. Trying to do too much at once can be overwhelming, and it's often one of the reasons why people give up. We are more likely to stick with it when we start small because it's not as daunting. We can always increase our goals over time, but it's essential to start small, so we don't get discouraged. Set a schedule. Having a set schedule can help us be more consistent because it gives us structure. When we know when we need to do something, it's easier to follow through, make it a habit. One of the best ways to be more consistent is to turn our goal into a habit. Once something becomes a habit, we don't even have to think about it, it's just something we do. Find a role model. It's helpful to have someone we can look up to who is consistent in their actions. This can help us stay motivated and on track when we are feeling down. Create a routine. Don't underestimate the power of a routine. A routine helps us be more consistent because it becomes second nature. We know what we need to do and when, so there's less room for error. Set a deadline. When we have a deadline to meet, we are more likely to be consistent in our actions. We don't want to let ourselves down, and we want to finish the task at hand. The benefits of being a consistent person. There are a few benefits to being a consistent person. You'll achieve more goals. When we are consistent in our actions, we are more likely to achieve our goals. This is because we are putting in the effort on a daily basis, and we are not giving up halfway through. You'll be more productive. Consistent people are more productive because they're not wasting time on things that don't matter. They know what they need to do and get it done without procrastinating. You'll be more reliable. People respect consistency because it's a sign of reliability. When we are consistent in our actions, people know they can count on us to do what we say we will do. You'll develop better habits. When we are consistent, we are more likely to develop good habits. We are doing the same thing repeatedly until it becomes a part of who we are. You'll be happier. Studies have shown that people who are consistent in their actions are generally happier than those who are not. This is because they're living a life that aligns with their values and they're not constantly starting and stopping new things. The difference between motivation and inspiration. Many people get confused between motivation and inspiration. Motivation comes from within, whereas inspiration comes from external sources. When we are motivated, we set a goal for ourselves and want to achieve it. Inspiration, on the other hand, is when we see something that inspires us to take action. We all know what it feels like to be motivated. That little voice inside your head tells you to keep going even when you feel like giving up. It gets you out of bed in the morning and helps you stay focused throughout the day. And while motivation is important, it's not the only thing that drives us to achieve our goals. Inspiration is just as powerful, if not more so. Inspiration is what we feel when we see someone else accomplishing something great. It's what drives us to be better than we were yesterday. It's what fills us with hope and determination. So, next time you're feeling down, remember that motivation and inspiration are two of the most powerful forces in the world. Use them to your advantage, and you'll be unstoppable. It's essential to be both motivated and inspired, but it's more important to be consistent. Motivation can come and go, but we'll most likely take action if we are inspired by something. This is why it's crucial to be surrounded by things that inspire us and seek out new sources of inspiration. Don't worry, everyone has days when they don't feel motivated to work or get out of bed. That's normal. We all have days when we don't feel motivated to work or get out of bed. It's normal to feel this way from time to time. Maybe you're feeling stressed about a project at work or dealing with a personal issue, whatever the reason. It's important to remember that these feelings are temporary. They will pass. Here are some things you can do to get through a day when you're not feeling motivated, take a break. Step away from whatever you're supposed to be doing. Take a walk, listen to music, or read a book. Give yourself some time to relax and rejuvenate. Change your environment. Sometimes, all you need is a change of scenery. If you are working from home, try going to a coffee shop or the library. If you're stuck in a rut, changing your environment can help jumpstart your creativity. Talk to someone. When we are feeling down, it's helpful to talk to someone about it. This can help us process our feelings and develop a plan of action. Talking to a friend or family member can also help us feel supported. Take action. Sometimes, the best way to get out of a rut is to take action, start working on that project you've been procrastinating on. Or go for a walk around your neighborhood, just make sure that you're more consistent than not, and eventually, you'll start to see the results you want, but make sure these days are kept to a minimum. Maybe if you're feeling like that, especially if you've created a habit, you could be burnt out. Don't forget to take a break every once in a while. You need to recharge to continue being productive. Consider consistency like compound interest. It may not be flashy, but it will yield substantial results over time, Consistency is like compound interest in that it builds over time. The more consistent we are, the more progress we'll make, and this progress will eventually add up, resulting in significant changes in our lives, anyone who has ever tried to establish a new fitness routine knows that consistency is vital, it can be all too easy to start strong and then fizzle out a few weeks later. But just like compound interest, consistency leads to results. The more consistent you are with your workout routine, the better results you will see, and those results will compound over time, leading to even more motivation to stick with it, So if you're looking to make a change in your fitness routine, remember that consistency is key. Just like compound interest, it will pay off in the long run. Don't underestimate the power of motivation. We've already established that motivation alone is not a driver that can be thoroughly relied upon. However, don't underestimate the power of motivation. It still plays a crucial part. In order to be successful, we need to have a combination of consistency and motivation. Motivation creates the crucial inertia required for consistency. Anyone who has ever achieved a goal knows the importance of motivation. It is the driving force that helps us keep going when things get tough, and it allows us to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Without motivation, it would be all too easy to give up on our dreams and settle for a life of mediocrity. Thankfully, motivation is something that we can cultivate. By setting ourselves consistent goals and taking small steps towards them each day, we can gradually build up our motivation until it becomes an unstoppable force. So whatever your goals may be, don't underestimate the power of motivation. It could be the key to making them a reality. What should I take away from this post? Well, to sum it all up, here are the key points to remember. Consistency breeds habit, and once a habit is formed, it's easier to stick to it. If you're consistent with your routine, you'll be more likely to achieve your goals. Motivation comes and goes, but consistency is always there for you. Consistency helps you find a system that works for you, meaning it will be easier to stick with. Be patient. It'll take time to see results. So don't get discouraged if you don't see immediate changes. Consistency is key. Like I said at the beginning of this article, Rome was not built in a day. The power of consistency, building healthy routines and habits for self-care. Consistency can become an empowering mindset that paves our way to enduring success when we are cultivating new habits and self-identity. It depends on small, regular efforts and changes that build up over time and can lead to significant transformations in our lives while allowing for imperfection and variations in progress from day to day. My experiment with consistency at the end of last year. I noticed a recurring theme popping up in work and conversations with friends and family, the struggle to maintain simple changes and routines for self-improvement. Many discussions revolved around the difficulty in sticking to positive habits such as drinking enough water, stretching, eating healthy food, or exercising, often opting instead for unhealthy distractions like scrolling on our phones or watching mindless TV, even when we are fully aware of the better choice. Like many others, I found myself grappling with this challenge and wondered about its underlying causes. So, at the beginning of this year, I decided to start my own experiment in consistency. Inspired by the Michael Mosley podcast, Just One Thing, he focuses on the idea that small, regular actions can lead to significant shifts in our lives and that sustainable change begins with manageable steps. I chose a simple yet meaningful task: capturing a photograph of the view from my therapy room window and posting it to my Instagram story daily. This seemed like an easily achievable task and also a way of tracking nature and the seasonal changes, which I love. Bring on autumn. So far, I've managed to remember to take the photograph 99% of the time. And if I'm not at home, I've taken a photo of where I have been instead. I've found it pleasantly grounding and an unexpected yet helpful practice in mindfulness, keeping me more focused on the present. Feedback I've received indicates that they #DailyTherapyRoomView on Instagram is also providing a sense of comfort or anchoring for people who look out for it every day. I often receive reminders if it seems I've forgotten to post the picture, also fostering a sense of that all-important connection with others. It's keeping the bigger picture in mind that keeps me going. Initially, it was challenging to carve out these pockets of time amidst other responsibilities. Discovering the impact of consistency and the parallels with therapy sessions, I've come to realize that consistency is not about perfection but about commitment and persistence. It's about doing one or even a few little things, day in and day out, even when nothing seems to be changing or we just don't feel like it, and still noticing the results that these simple daily efforts create in the long run, by consistently taking a photograph of the same view each day. I learned the value of discipline and patience. There were days when the weather was gloomy, or I felt uninspired as nothing much had changed. But the more I persisted and noticed the subtle changes in the seasons, the more the sense of achievement grew. I learnt there's no point beating myself up or feeling that all is lost if I've forgotten to do it one day. There's always the next day to pick up and start again, or something else I can do instead to give me that same sense of achievement. There is a parallel here with attending therapy sessions. It's essential to attend consistently, Some weeks you may feel stagnant or stuck and uninspired. Other weeks there may be an amazing change or revelation. But it's the showing up week in, week out, and building the foundations needed for positive change that keeps things moving and helps you notice the bigger changes by sticking with it. If or when it feels like not a lot is happening, applying consistency to self-care and remembering the end goal. Consistency is like a muscle. It strengthens with practice. Encouraged by the progress I was seeing in my daily photograph experiment, I began to apply the same principle to my self-care routines, I have become more disciplined in setting aside time each day for stretching, meditation, and physical exercise. Regardless of how busy my schedule is, whenever I tell myself I can't be bothered, I think about how I'd feel if I didn't do it compared to if I did. I love the sense of achievement and building on something day by day to reach those bigger goals which are important to notice and celebrate. My daily photo becomes a monthly reel, and by the end of the year, I'll be able to see 365-ish days worth of the changing seasons and choose more constructive habits over less healthy ones. But I reminded myself, as I often remind others, that self-care is not selfish. It's essential for sustaining well-being and resilience. And those are my aims to keep in mind, as I've integrated these practices into my daily routine. I've noticed a shift in my overall sense of health and vitality. Running, cycling, and stretching help alleviate the physical tension accumulated throughout the day, while meditation and journaling provide a sanctuary for quiet reflection and inner peace.